Hey everyone, it's Cary and Matt Dernlan here on the podcast Away. I'd ask Matt, what he's been doing, but I know what he's been doing. He's been quarantined. He's been sitting home, same as I've been sitting home. And then today the news came out that the IOC, Matt, is going to actually postpone the Olympic Games, which I think we all knew was coming. And I got my feelings on it and your input, but anyway, I guess how has it been at RUDIS this week?
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's been a lot of things from the state of Ohio and coming out of the governor's office about what we can and can't do. Now we're still running the business, but we're operating with on kind of a partial scale, just based upon the number of people that can congregate, safely congregate and operate a business. So we're still functional. We're still in business. Everything's going good. It's just under different circumstances. So everything that you're dealing with, everything that the athletes, the Olympic level athletes are now dealing with, we're dealing with similar situations, just different circumstances, same situation, different set of circumstances.
Yeah. I think, I think my reflection on this would be if I was going back to Sydney in 2000, I think the only way I the only way you could get through it if you're one of these guys is you just take it in stride. You go back to your calendar. You go back to training options. You go back to where you want to be mentally and back to training, and you just, you just got to switch gears. There's no other way. There's no way you can sit around. Do I take some time off, recharge? I would definitely take some time off, recharge, and then it's just back. It's just another year, But the thing is, it's another year for everybody, and a lot of things can change in a year. Some guys might literally hang it up and say, "I'm moving on." You might see somebody else pop in that might be, new to the scene. But you just got to keep doing what you're doing. That's the only way I know to get through it. And, I wouldn't have any special take on it. Like, you're just back to training. You just have to be set and geared for another year of doing it. And that's all you can do. That's really all you can do. And I know some guys are going to be shook up a little bit and like, what do I do? But do what you've been doing. That's what makes it tough. And the truth is, that's what's probably going to make it even more special for the people who do finally walk out with a gold medal or silver or bronze. Because it's just another little obstacle in front. But it's very interesting and disappointing, for the guys who've been doing it. And I did it for a long time, and I feel for you, man. And I wish all of them the best to keep doing what they're doing.
Yeah, I guess the biggest thing, when I heard about the Olympics being postponed, because we've kind of had a week now to wrap our mind around the NCAA type of things, and everybody's still wrapping their minds around the fallout of that. But one of the first things that came to my mind was a guy like Jordan Burroughs, who's been in the game for 10 years, grinding it out. Like, for a guy like that, it's like, he was still vested, he was all in, but what's this next year going to look like? Will he still have the same motivation? Will he still have the same focus? Will he still have the same circumstance that really allows him to attack this, as opposed to like a young guy? And I'm just throwing random guys like Spencer Lee. He's a junior in college. He's still young. He's still fresh. He really hasn't even made his entrance on the senior level now. And he's like, well, I've got all the time in the world. So what's one more year? I'll be better prepared to win a gold medal in a year. Where a guy like Burroughs, seemingly his window of opportunity is closing. Other guys' opportunities are just opening. So it's just, but to your point, I think it's like, you just gotta reset, refocus, and you got to get back on the horse. For most of these guys, they're probably peaking out. They're probably already starting their peaking phases. All this information started following through. So this would probably be, like you said, the logical time. Step away, get reset, get your mind right, get your body right, and then you jump back in. That's all you can do, right? There's only one choice. You just got to keep moving ahead.
Yeah, there's only one choice, and yeah, that's a really good point. You're going to have some guys who have there's going to be some guys who probably are not happy with the virus, but happy with the situation that favors them, and it does favor a younger guy. And it doesn't necessarily, I'd say, favor a Jordan Burroughs, but you're also talking about a guy who's a 5-time champ. And, and he's a 5-time champ because of the way he does prep and does think and does approach it. And, so I don't necessarily see him in effect, but there's going to be some other guys for sure. There's going to be some guys that are going to have to step back, but I would stop peaking right now. That's for sure. And, it's not like you can go anywhere and take a vacation, but I would mentally be taking a vacation right now and just resetting and ready to rock. But yeah, it's, and then the next question is like, there's some opportunity too. If you do get in, if we go 2021, is the next one still 2024? I think they keep the calendar the same because they've already planned, and in fact, it has to be because they've already planned these other situations with the winter games and the summer game. I think they probably go to 24. So you're going to have some guys that will be able to win. So heck, we might see some 3-time gold medalists if they're on the younger side come out of this because of the time frame that it's allowed them to do it.
Yeah, because it really should. It has to be a 3-year cycle. Now instead of a quad, it's a whatever you call it, a try window. Because the games have already been committed to where's 2024 at? Is that France?
Yeah, and then didn't we get him back in LA? I can't.
LA is 2028, I think. Is that 2028 LA?
I'm not sure. I'd have to go and look. I feel like we got him back. So yeah, that's probably exactly right on the money. Like, that could be one. Yeah, for sure.
So I think, it's probably really exciting for those guys. Like, oh, if I can, I have one more year to develop and get into my peak. And if I can secure that spot, it's only 3 years away where I can, possibly make in another Olympic team. So, the other thing, thinking back to Burroughs, I think we look at Jordan and we see all the success he's had, all the medals he's won, all the 5 gold medals, the two bronzes. But what we don't really factor in is like the adversity he's had to come through. He's had to overcome some pretty big physical challenges, pretty big, challenges from up and comers. So it's not like he's unaccustomed to adversity. This guy has seen adversity. He's seen the best that the world has had to offer for 10 years. I don't think this is going to be a setback in relation to the other things he's had to battle through. Because you look at a guy like that, he's coming off not placing at 2016. So that's probably much worse. That's a much worse reality than just saying, hey, this next opportunity is postponed for a year. What he experienced in 2016 and what he had to probably recover from mentally from that is probably as significant of an obstacle as he's ever had to overcome.
Yeah, this is a big obstacle. This is, but like, again, my approach would be to this one is it's just what makes it even more special when you get it done. And that's how you're going to have to think about it. That is exactly how you're going to have to think about it. If I go back to my situation in the Olympic Games, it didn't play out right. And I know, for years I was bitter about it, but every time I sit back, I always tell myself I should have just won that next match. Like, Cary, you should have just won the next match. Had I won the next match, it would have been even more special, in my mind. It would have been, and I could have done that, but I got a little mental setback, and I didn't recover from it. And I only had, I had 30 minutes to get out there and try to do it again. And, through being upset, being angry, I wrestled with, wrestling with emotion can really help you compete. But I've always said it's emotion that's controlled. And so if you can control that and channel it in the right way, you can become unstoppable. And that's what these guys, the guys who can channel it and put it in their mind and become unstoppable, that's what you have to do. My situation with my heavyweight down here, he lost in the finals of our conference, and he had to come back out and wrestle for a true second to get himself to the NCAA tournament. And I saw the best wrestling from him I'd ever seen, because he was so angry about getting upset in the finals that he came right out and there was no chance of the other guy competing with him because he had channeled his emotion the right way, and nobody was going to touch him. And had he wrestled like that previously, there's no doubt in my mind he would have won in the finals. And that's what it's going to come down to, is channeling it the right way and not sitting back and just being disappointed, because everybody's been hit right now. So you're not the only guy, and that's how you got to approach it.
And I think that's going to be pretty evident who resolves themselves the most over the course of the next year. It's going to be evident whenever that time comes for them to qualify and punch their ticket and make the game. They're going to be more resolved to it, and it's going to be evident like who really wrapped their mind around it and committed themselves to it over the next year. I guess a couple other positives. One, it wasn't looking favorable. Even if the games were to go on, like, what would be the opportunity to actually qualify 65 kilograms for the weight class? Because we didn't get it done, and with everything getting pushed back, I wasn't sure when that last chance qualifier was going to be on the world stage. And I guess the other thing is, in this day and age, I know there's been a lot of debate about the RTCs, but I guess financially it's a little bit more feasible for these guys to stay on board for another year. Back 10, 20 years ago, when you were coming through, where, money or finding money was a premium, fees, making it financially feasible for you to train there wasn't that many opportunities for many of these guys. So at least whatever side of the issue, whatever side of the discussion you fall on the RTC thing, I think the one thing that we can agree right now, I think it's good that these guys at least can fund their training a lot easier than they did in the past.
Yeah, absolutely. And so the RTCs have helped. It should have been done a long time ago. Like I said, I've been on the side. I'm for RTCs. I'm just for a little more legislation on them, just because it hits some people in terms of, the NCAA rules. But in terms of being a former athlete who's now a coach, I love that these guys have the ability to do this stuff, and it's made us a better nation in terms of internationally, how we're competing, and we have Jordan and other guys who can continue to stick around and compete, and so that's awesome, and they're fun. But right now we might see a carousel of guys who are, a lot of programs were sitting there saying we're planning for one more year with this guy, and they've budgeted money, so you might see a carousel of RTC guys start to shift as well. It's just time will tell. We'll see. It's gonna be a little shakeup for everybody, and we're living in a crazy time right now, and that's it. It's all we can do is keep going week by week and get through it and see and finally get this quarantine over with. Finally, crush this virus and get back to normal as soon as we can. And everybody's dealing with it.
Yeah, and these are the times that cliches come into play, because they're cliches for times like this, right? You're responsible for what your attitude and how your focus is, the next day in front of you. So, I know that's what we're doing to, with everybody in the company right now. It's like, hey, these are uncertain times, but we do control some things. We control our effort, we control our attitude. And as long as we have those two things in check, some good things are going to get done today. And,
well, I wish we had better news. I think there's some news next week. We can talk about, Matt, and go from there. But I wish you all the best and good talking to you. And let's talk again next week.